Railway Academy was founded in 2016, and since then we have been conducting training across railway signaling and telecommunication domain uh, throughout India, as well as also through online trainings catering to international participants as well. So we started with a postgraduate diploma in railway signaling and telecommunications with two collaborations with two leading universities in India, Rayatbara University and Ramaya University, where we conduct a 10 months full-time UGC recognized postgraduate diploma for young engineers to get trained and employed in railway sector. So companies like Thales, Cyan, Texmaco, Siemens, Alstom, Tech Mahindra have recruited our trained candidates. And in the past 2 years, we've also done some international collaborations through which we are bringing world-class knowledge and training programs in India. So we have a collaboration with Transperb, which is a Belgian company. We also are official training partners with IRSC UK for India. And we run our postgraduate diploma program under the guidance of IRSC UK and IRSC India sections. So now the kind of training programs which we feel are relevant for working professionals like you who are attending this training session, we are planning to, so we do a basic signaling training program for beginners around 4 months, and we're looking at starting this training program on 26th of July, when we are looking at commencing the first orientation session for a certificate program in conceptual railway signaling. This is for professionals who are new to, who want to know about railway signaling as a domain and want to develop conceptual understanding across railway signaling. Then we also conduct a lot of capsule courses. One such capsule courses is being done today. And apart from that, we are currently also running a program, a certificate program of 30 hours on RAMs. And in the coming months, we are looking at launching training programs on CBTC, ERTMS, and also IRSC coaching. So I will keep you updated through emails on these programs. And now I would like to, these are the students who have studied from our PG diploma batches. We've got these experts who are part of our panel to impart knowledge and training. So, so now I would like to introduce our trainer for today, Mr. B. Sambi Reddy, who will be taking up your session on SIT. So over to you, sir. And I've stopped the, you can stop, you can share your presentation, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Sumit.
Thank you.
Good.
Sir, it would be an honor if you could just give a small introduction about yourself, sir, so that.
Okay. First of all, thanks to Railway Academy for giving us this opportunity for the knowledge exchange. My name is Sambi Reddy. I worked on Indian Railways for 25 years as a signal engineer and retired voluntarily as chief engineer. Last 12 years, I am working on in the industry, mainly Eftronic Systems Limited at Vijayawada, who are the data logger makers, and also Silfor products like signal lamps and block instruments, electronic block instruments, and so let us start the session. Now, this will be for 2 hours. Most probably after an hour, we may take 2-3 hours gap in between. And it is a big challenge actually to talk about deep signaling things, deeper things like testing and designing. Because today's composer of the participants can be I am presuming maybe some of you must have been just introduced to signaling, not yet worked in the railways. And some of you might have been working in the railways, but have not worked for testing or the installation side. So not much of an exposure in testing. And some of you might have been designers also with deep knowledge and who must have commissioned the big interlocking systems after testing. To cover all these varied participants, I have made it, some places it looks too simple, some places it may look a little difficult. There I try to make it as much diagrams as possible so that visualization becomes easier for the less experienced and then new entrants. So let us start. So F-Tronics, as you know, data logger people from the last 25, 30 years, data loggers are manufactured, installed, maintained at almost 7,000 stations all over India. So they give a lot of data. So what to do with the data? Okay, it can be used for evidence and in case of accident, maybe some predictive maintenance or the diagnostic maintenance, it gives the alarms and all. But data can be used even for testing purpose. It gives an evidence that a test has been performed and a test has been correctly performed. Both it gives. So the contents are something like this. We will talk about signaling system interlocking principles and some design documents because system integrity test depends on the design document, especially table of control. And what are the tests conducted? Then limitation of the present system of testing, manual testing. Then automated system integrity test we have done for hundreds of stations. So I will share how we have done that automatically. Then when the electronic interlocking gets operated by an VDU, then it becomes difficult to automate the testing because we cannot enter into the software portion of the VDU. It is a fail-safe system. So the integration of the testing system with the VDU is not permitted. That is why system integrated automated SIT becomes a SIT tool. But still how it improves the productivity we can see. So what is system integrity test? SIT, S-I-T. System means relay interlocking or electronic interlocking system. Integrity means it is the measure of interlocking system's response to the table of control. Is it as per the table of control or is it deviated? Test. Conditions are created and the response of interlocking system is observed. And naturally, it is supposed to result in no additional conditions are included, what are not provided in table of control, because that reduces the flexibility sometimes, or maybe it is not advisable. And all conditions of table of control are complied, because second one can lead to unsafe side situations and causing the accidents. So let us look at the interlocking principles. We all know from the basics that the track is divided into stations and block sections, and signals were required to give entry into the block section and into the station section. And further, because the braking distance of the train is more, a warning signal is required, what we call a distant signal behind the home. And to protect the points within the station, we require starter signals. So basically distant, home, starter, and advanced starter. In bigger yards, we may have interstarter signals and inner homes, and more than one home signal, more than one starter signal also can be there. So signaling elements, when we look at the point, signal, train detection devices, and level crossing gates. Route, can it be a signaling element? Maybe sometimes when we try to look at as an element, we try to physically identify it. Route is not a physically identifiable single entity. That is why it can be an element or not an element, but we'll have a look at it. Mostly we will be dealing with the route in this session. So relay interlocking with panel operation, which was the very common thing on Indian Railways. So looks like this. We have a man-machine interface, which is the station master's panel. He tries to alter the states of the signal point, which is a route setting process, and level crossing gate. And in that process, he requests the change to the interlocking system. And the interlocking system, which is hardwired in the form of relays, evaluates the safety, and if it is safe, it allows the change of the state and then gives the status back to the station master. This is the basic interlocking system's functionality. Now, components, if we look at how it happens, okay, at the panel, we have switches and LED indications for the statuses, and there is a cable connecting to the relays in the interlocking system. And these cables are terminated at the panel termination rack. And then the relays requires power supply system, of course. And then the signaling elements are connected through cable, outdoor underground cables, through the cable termination rack. So the interlocking system interface can be at the panel termination rack for operations and cable termination rack for the outdoor signaling elements. Those people who understands interlocking and then who had some knowledge of signaling, they can easily understand this diagram. So the relays, which are supposed to deliver the interlocking, we can say that there are three types: some input relays, output relays, and in between we have interlocking relays. And the signaling elements status is given as in the input relays, like track circuit TPR, crank handling CHPR, slot from the other cabin, other agency YR, then level crossing gate LCPR, point status NWKR, RWKR, signal lamp status, red lamp, yellow, green, route, double yellow. Similarly, at the panel interface, it takes the contacts from these relays to display the status of the signaling elements, including the route. And then the commands are given through the signal and point controlling the relays. Other cancellation and miscellaneous relays are there and not mentioned here. Interlocking relays are like route checking, route locking, route release, level crossing, and crank handle controlling and point controlling relays. And output relays are those which power the signaling element, like NWR and RWR. They power the point machine, which is operating the point. And signal lamps are lit through the contacts of HR, HHR, DR, UGR. Similarly, level crossing gate opening permission is given by LCYR. Crank handle releasing, taking out is given by crank handle YR. Similarly, yes, permission to the other cabin is given through a relay YR. Circuit looks like this. I am not going to explain the whole thing here. So we have NCR, RCR for the point operation. And there is a WLR which decides whether the point can be operated or not. When it is decided to be operated, there are two relays, normal controlling and reverse controlling, and then the point gets operated. This is followed on Southern and South Central, where the point machines are powered. Power is switched at the location box very near to the point machine. And most of the Indian railways, they directly operate from the central place. Similarly, signal also. We have a route that is the RR relay, which is a first relay to ask for the clearance of the signal, then route checking, route locking is done, and then we have yellow lamp control relay. So the yellow lamp is lit through the 110 volt AC supply through the HR contact. Now, let us look at the point. So point is a movable signaling element. So anything movable, if it is not properly moved, it can cause accident. It is a big hazard. So the point becomes the central point in the interlocking system actually. Let us have a look at this station. It is a 5-road station with 3 passenger carrying passenger lines and then 2 goods lines. We can say this is a crossover, this is the trap point, and this is a single end point. Point means actually in a crossover, status of both end points together is considered for providing the status of the crossover for signaling purpose. Not if one end is okay, one end is not okay, it is treated as failure. For a single end point, here the isolation is not required. That is why a single end point is provided connecting both the goods lines. Outermost point in the yard is called top point. From there the counting starts for providing the signals, either advanced order or the home signal or a distant signal. So signals, they provide movement authority. So everybody knows the red means stop. 2 types of signals are there. Main signals, one are based on operations, manual signals. Other types are automatic signals. Let us look at manual signals. So the stop signal, that is the main signal we are talking about, not shunt and others auxiliary signal. So the red means stop, yellow means be prepared to stop at the next signal. Double yellow means the next signal is already cleared, but you have to pass that signal at a restricted speed. Normally it is provided for distant signal, but where combination of signals arise, there any signal can have 2 yellow lamps. Of course, loop line starters will not have. The green is to say the proceed at full speed. That coming to the automatic signaling, it is a very clear-cut thing that each aspect says that how many sections are clear. This presumption is if the inter-signal distance is equal to the braking distance. If it is less than that, the aspect is repeated. So yellow means 1 section is clear, double yellow means 2 sections are clear, green means 3 or more. It is something like this automatic signaling. So if there is a train here, the train is protected by the red lamp of this signal, and then we can see the yellow, double yellow and green. Further signals behind the green are also going to have green. The typical 2-road station where manually operated signals are provided on the single line, that you can see the distant signal, home signal, and then opposite advanced order signal. So the track is divided into sections for monitoring purpose. Train detection systems. There are 2 types, as we know. One is track-based, that is track circuit, powering up the rails with the power supply and then detecting it on the other end. And the other one is the wheel-based. This is the DC track circuit, simple. the wheel based means doesn't mean the wheel is detected through the interference it causes to the magnetic flux to the sensors fixed to the rails. We have two types, as you all know, analog axial counter and digital axial counter. So mostly nowadays, digital axial counters are being used. So for interlocking purpose, complexity of trend detection doesn't matter really, because we use only the one relay ultimately to see whether a section is clear or not. Whether it is a DC track circuit, AFTC, or axial counter, digital analog, it doesn't matter anything. Level crossing. Level crossing is also a very important signaling element, and which causes a lot of public inconvenience. So the interlocking of this has to be done in a proper way to reduce the amount of closure time. Let us see at this particular station, a double line station, the LC gate is provided between home signal and advanced starter. So when the gate is closed, a key comes out, and that key, when it is inserted into a EKT, it gets locked and it picks up a relay. That particular relay, LXR, is repeated to the station. And LXCR. This LXCR is used for the interlocking purpose. After the train passes the level crossing gate, the station master operates the gate control switch. If the gate is free, a relay LXYR operates, and this LXYR relay is repeated to the station and to the level crossing gate. And at the level crossing gate, another relay picks up, which covers the coil to release the key to open the gate. Let us have a look at the route, the main important thing of today's route is between an entry signal and exit signal. It starts at a signal and ends at next signal. Signal can be a stop board also. Permission to enter a route, that is movement authority, is provided by the entry signal, and it displays off aspect, as you all know. Before this signal displaying off aspect, the route is checked. The route is checked for two things. One is correct setting of the points and level crossing gates. And if a movable bridges are there, even those bridges are locked and all. And second thing is conflicting routes freeness is checked. Then comes the route locking, and then route clearance is checked. These are the stages. Now, a route, when we look at route, is can be seen. Just observe for a minute this diagram. Here, the home signal 1 is cleared for reception onto the platform number 2. The yellow portion is called the route. It has two areas, route section and berthing track section. The entire thing is called route. And there is an approach track, and then there is a overlap track. Here there is a choice, two overlaps. One is towards the point number 13. Other one is towards the advanced starter. So this is the basic input that goes into the interlocking systems. Now, let us have a look at the route, life cycle of a route. because route is a conceptual thing, as we have seen. It is not a physical signaling element. So the life cycle of a route, it starts with route calling or trying to ask for the permission to send a train into that route. Second stage is route freeness checking, and then the route setting and checking after setting up the route. Then happens route locking. Then the next stage is checking the clear status of the tracks. Then comes the route supervision. This route supervision is a complex thing. We will see in detail later, that to see that a route is intact until it is fully used. Then next one is signal is cleared, train enters the route, and then signal returns to stop, because as the train enters the section, and then when the train reaches the destination track, the route is released. These are the 8-9 activities that takes place during the life cycle of a route. Route locking can be reversible and irreversible. Both stages are there. So what is reversible route locking and what is irreversible route locking? In reversible route locking, the signal, when normalized, route gets released. In irreversible, it won't. That also we will see a little later. Why are we locking the route? There are two basic reasons. So, locking between the conflicting routes, that is, it won't allow the conflicting route to be used for sending a second train. That's why we lock the routes. The other one is, until the movement is completed, the signaling elements, level crossing gates, movable bridges, if there are any, or the points, they are kept intact. Otherwise, there can be danger at level crossing gate to the road users, or the train itself may derail over the points if the point is disturbed when the train is running. Yeah. Irreversible locking after signal opening, signal clearance. Actually, this is what is happening in our case. So first default position is no route is locked. Then first stage is route calling and checking. Second stage is commanding of the elements, that is points. Third one is signal opening with reversible locking. That means signal gets cleared, and if the signal switch is normalized, the locking gets unlocked. Next stage is irreversible locking, which we call it approach locking. Then train enters the section, then signal is goes back to danger. Seventh one is train clears the route. Even partially also we can release the routes. Then the route release takes place. So at any stage, route calling stage or commanding of element stage or before signal opening or signal reversible locking stage, we can go back to the default position of the route not locked. You can see these three arrows. All these three stages, we are permitted to release the route without making use of the route. This is irreversible locking before signal opening. Actually, this happens in Siemens design. When once we clear the signal, and if we put back the signal, and when GSLR drops, it is not possible to again operate the signal. We have to again cancel it and then re-clear the signal. Maybe because it is status of the buttons used normally in the Siemens practice doesn't say anything about the operation. The operation is momentary thing which gets recorded. That is why that irreversible locking is provided before signal opening. Let us look at approach locking and route holding, these concepts. Here you are seeing three colors. Now the train is signaled for the main line stopping. The blue portion is the route. Green portion is the overlap, and yellow portion is the approach track. The first diagram, the train has not yet entered into the approach track. That means driver will be in a position to brake and stop his train at the home signal in case the signal is put back to danger. So this is simple route locking only is effective. That means reversible route locking. That means as long as the signal is yellow, the route is locked. Otherwise, route is not. When you normalize it, route is unlocked. Come to the central one. Now the train is in the approach of the signal. It has occupied the approach track circle. So at this stage, if the signal is put back to danger, depending on the speed, the driver may occupy the route or may not occupy the route, but he has to be guaranteed the route. So the route is still locked. That means it is irreversible partially. That means just putting back the signal to danger doesn't release the route. It allows for the cancellation of the route locking. So it is partially irreversible. Come to the third one. Here, the train has passed the home signal, occupied the first track circuit. It means the route utilization has already started. So it is clearly irreversible, that it is not possible to release the route. Yes, in some railways, there is a facility called super emergency route cancellation. Even when one of the track circuits are down after arrival of the train, it is possible to release the route. I am not discussing about that, that is an exception. Now, signal aspect sequencing is another feature which we should be aware before testing. So it can be for auto signals and manual signals for both. The same diagram, what we are already seen automatic signals, if you look at the same aspect sequencing gradually, how red, yellow, double yellow, and green. The precondition here is the inter-signal distance is more than braking distance. Now, a signal displays half aspect yellow apart from proving other conditions when exit signal is late. Exit signal shall have a light. Otherwise, driver doesn't know where to stop. Signal aspect changes to double yellow when exit signal changes to yellow. Similarly, signal aspect, the same signal aspect changes to green when the exit signal is double yellow or green. This is the sequencing that happens. If we apply this to a standard manual signals, you can see the up advanced starter and up mainline starter number 2, up home signal and up distance signal. Let us observe how their aspects are controlled. The green aspect of the advanced starter controls the green aspect of the mainline starter. Similarly, the red aspect of the advanced starter controls the yellow aspect of the mainline starter. If the red lamp fuses, if that advanced starter is blank, the mainline starter signal cannot assume yellow aspect. This red lamp protection. Similarly, same thing is applied for the home signal also. The green lamp can be lit only when the mainline starter is green. And similarly, the yellow lamp can be lit only when mainline starter is yellow or red. One of them. That means signal has to be lit. So when it is to the route, that route lamp also is late. That is for the loop line reception. Now let us look at interlocking between the routes, how it happens. Now there are 4 figures diagrams given here. We will start from bottom. A simple interlocking. Here you can see the blue line drawn from left to right and then yellow to the right to left. That is the mainline reception and then loop line dispatch. It is a simple interlocking. That means these 2 routes are interlocked already by the point, because for one route pointer is required in normal and for the other route it is required in reverse. So if at least one point is in different state, it is a simple interlocking. No separate interlocking need be planned for this. Second diagram, you can see mainline reception up and down. You can see points required are in the same position. Both points are required in normal. And so there should be some special conditions, special precaution has to be taken in the design to see that both these routes are not utilized at a time. Special interlocking of consecutive routes. Here you can see the home signal to the starter, the blue route, and then the saffron color route or yellow route from the starter signal towards the red one starter. Now, here, if the pass-through on the loop line is permitted, no locking is required between the 2 routes. If pass-through is not permitted, the both routes cannot be locked at the same time. Let us have a look on the top one. Here there are no points, there are no stations, but the 2 tracks are crossing, is a diamond crossing. So the common track is available for between the 2 tracks, but there is no movable signaling elements. Here also we have to provide a special interlocking. So there are normally 4 types of things, and out of the 4, top 3 are to be used. Interlocking has to take care of it. There can be alternate routes also between the 2 signals. For example, S1 to S2 can go via P1 or via P3. So there can be 2 routes. A little complex thing. Now, there is the train on the left side, train on the right side. Right side train is supposed to go towards the crossover with the reverse, and the left side train is supposed to stop at the signal. Can both be permitted? So this is isolation between the 2 movements. Is it how far it is permitted? So this is treated as an unauthorized movement. As we go ahead, we will see the special cases, how this is applied in typical cases. So same isolation and locking. How isolation is provided? Isolation is provided through points, basically. Let us see 3 berthing tracks A, B, C. Here, the A and B are not isolated, because a train escaping from the B can trail through point number P2 and then P1 and collide with a train on A. So this is this P4 which provides isolation between A and B. So we have to be very careful while looking at the track plan, engineering scale plan, before the designing of the signaling system. Let us have a look at this. Yeah, it looks very complicated but simple. You look at this as a 2-road station, simple 2-road station with a takeoff point for a goods line on one side. So we have home signal S1, starters S2, S3, intermediate starter S4, advanced starter S5 for one direction. For other direction, home signal S20, inner home S21, and then we have starters and advanced starter. There are shunt signals below the starters, the center starter, inter home, inner home, and at the top points. Now let us look at how the locking between the two routes gets affected because of isolation issues. Now, a mainline train is expected to be received onto the mainline stopping train. So overlap is extended up to S4. Another train coming from the other direction is expected to be received on the goods lines. Can these be permitted? Like in the previous example, what we have shown. Basically, they are not permitted because if one of the trains passes the signal in danger, one of the trains means train 1 only, not train 2. Then it is likely to cause collision at point number 2 or point number 3. That is why it is not permitted. Here we have to look at both our main signal movements. Here, there is shunt 11 is to be clear of shunt 12. That means up to shunt 13. Similarly, shunt 15 has to be cleared towards the goods line, clear of S6. These two are permitted actually because basically it is considered in logic here is two ways. One is the shunt movements are normally supposed to not to have the passenger carrying coaches. Number two, they are controlled slow movements. That is why overlaps are not catered for the shunt movements, but isolation is considered. Now, here you can see the home signal is cleared for reception at the goods line and the other one is the shunt movement. This is not permitted because the shunt movement, even though it is slow, is considered as indisciplined. Indisciplined in the sense that the train may not have full brake power. So there can be controlling issues. So if he passes the signal at danger, he is going to hit the main train. That's why it is not permitted. Similarly, the other one, when the main train is being received onto the home signal, onto the main line, a shunting can take place here because main train is expected mostly to stop clear of overlap. Even in case he passes it, collision is going to be with a shunting train. Normally, these are the practices followed. Route release. Route release is a very dangerous thing because it can cause premature release can cause accident. Route release purpose actually normally the direction of movement has to be proved and the clearance of the tracks, both these are to be proved. So for this purpose, a route shall have at least minimum of 2 track circuits other than the berthing track normally. So if AT-BT are there, then clearance of this can easily be ascertained that the train has traveled from AT to BT and then it cleared the BT also. There is other way of detecting this. If we have a rail contact, like the wheel sensor of the axle counter, it also determines the direction because it has 2 sensors. Recently in the EDFC, Kurza to Kanpur, this particular feature is used. Every track circuit is treated as a root section, and its release is planned with the rail contacts detection of the movement of direction. But some cases we may have just only one track circuit. Let us see this particular one. Shunt 11 to clear off shunt 12, there is only one 7-track circuit. We cannot prove from which direction to which direction train has moved. So here, after the clearance of the track circuit, a time delay is given, normally 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, the route gets released. So the route release, which is a very, very important feature, is taken care of in this way. So just now we have seen how route clocking is taken care of. The approach of the route, there are 2 cases, and then when it enters into the route holding. Design documents. We have lot of design documents, but basically what are required for us, essentially they have been given here, and signaling and interlocking plan, and table of control, and signaling circuit diagrams. I'm not going to cover SIP much, only TOC and partially signaling circuit diagrams I will cover. Table of control. This is the heart of the system, actually interlocking system. This prescribes that how a train movement can be controlled by the interlocking systems. What conditions are to be proved, when the route can be released, when the route has to be locked, and which route are to be locked, and all those things, when the route has to be released. So we have seen already, we have approach track, route section tracks, berthing tracks, overlap tracks, and isolation points. This point number 13 is called isolation point for this route. When the train is being received here, if something available in the siding rolls, it can come and collide with the incoming train. So point number 13 is isolation point. For the purpose of explaining the table of control, different railways have different practices of making table of control. Recently, Indian Railways have formed a committee to finalize standardization of the circuit design. As a part of this table of control recommended by this committee, which is supposed to be accepted by all Indian Railways, is now explained. There are total 18 columns provided. One by one we will cover. Each line is given for a route, because we look at the conditions to be fulfilled for each route. So how we identify the route? The entry signal and exit signal. Entry signal is signal number first one, and then second one is the destination signal. That is, destination is actually the exit signal. And to select that route, which buttons are to be pressed? A signal button and route button. Many times, signal button will be same, but one signal button may have more than one route button also, correspondingly to different berthing tracks. And for the same berthing track also, we may have different route buttons depending on the overlaps. We will see that in the next example. So in the route, what are the points required in normal, required in reverse? Similarly, what are the track circuits to be proved clear in the route? Then column 6, in the overlap, what are the points required in normal, required in reverse? Similarly, track circuits clear. And in isolation, what are the points to be proved? Normal and reverse. Normally in isolation, track circuits are not proved. Similarly, crank handle. what are the crank handles that are to be interlocked for that particular route? Then we have following track circuits. On the track circuits, train may not move, but these track circuits are to be proved clear. Then approach lock by the track circuits. What are those tracks in the approach of the signal? When the train occupies those tracks, even though it is possible to normalize the signal, it shall not be possible to unlock the route. That is approach lock. Back lock, that is route holding portion. When the train enters into the section, into the route, what are those track circuits which are to be cleared before releasing the route? These are the backlock track circuits. Where the route is considered as the single entity, that is without sectional route release, except berthing track or the destination track, all other tracks are the backlock tracks. We will see an example also further in the next slides for one of the yards. Similarly, 12th column, signal replaced by track circuit. That means, what is the first controlling track circuit of 13, overlap release after 120 seconds by occupation of a track or clearance of a track circuit. We choose that track circuit. Normally, target track -1 track. That is the one which is proved. We'll see a little later. Slotting by gate or maybe other agencies. Released by other controls, SAR and siding point detection, all those things comes under 15. Then 16 is locks the routes. These are the routes which are directly opposing routes. What we have seen other than the number 1, 2, 3, 4, those routes actually. Then number 17, signal aspect controlled by. Yellow lamp with route is controlled by what conditions of the other signal. Similarly, yellow lamp, double yellow lamp, green lamp, all these lamps, how they are controlled by the signal ahead. Similarly, if any other things like release times and other things are there, column number 18 it is given. Let us have a look at this. You need not look at too much of the details of the yard. It is a typical 4-road station on a double line section with a common loop on the down below this line. We are going to fill up the table of control for a route for reception on the common loop with the overlap set to the right line, not onto the overrun line. So signal S01, destination is S07. Signal button is S01 and route button is 0401. There are two buttons, 04-2, 04-1. 04-1 is for setting overlap up to the advanced starter. 02 is straight. So in the route points required there are only 2 points, 101 and 103 in reverse. Track circuits required, you can see 01T. There are 2 track circuits here for this point, another 2 track circuits here, and then 2 berthing track circuits. 01T, 101 ATBT, 103 ATBT, 04 ATBT. In the overlap starts from S07 and ends at S09 advanced starter. We have 2 points, 106 in reverse and 102 also in reverse. Track circuits also we have 5 track circuits here, 2 point track circuits and for each point and the 03, 05 bar 070. So this fills up the conditions of the overlap. Let us look at the 7th one. in isolation. Actually, 105 and 101 both cannot be reversed at a time. So 105 normal is proved as isolation, actually isolation point. Crank handles, as per the design, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 crank handles are there. All of them has to be. There are no special fouling track circuits here. Approach lock by track circuit, it is a dead approach because there is no approach track circuit available here. This is only calling on track circuit. So dead approach. Dead approach locking is when once you clear the signal, it is presumed that there is a train and you have to calculate with the 2 minutes delay. Backlock by track circuits. Other than the berthing tracks, you can see 10380, 103BT, 10180, 101BT, and 01T, all the 5 track circuits. Signal replaced by track circuit 01T. This is the one. Then overlap release 104 AT and 104 BT. This has to be clear. Then clearance by track circuit 10380, actually this 10380. It has to occupy these 2 track circuits and then clear 10380. That is the condition. There is no starting available. And released by other controls is nothing here. Locking of the routes. Now here, as we have previously said, this locking of the routes, if we try to give all conflicting routes, then tens of them will be there. As we have seen, only those routes which directly collides, that means the conditions of the points are same. For example, we have chosen this particular route. On the same home signal as 01, we have C01, calling and signal. It also pertains to the same route, except for the track circuits, it proves the points in the same way. So both cannot be cleared at a time, so they lock. Similarly, there is a shunt back SH42, it reads to the common lobe up to S06. So this can be a directly conflicting route. So these two are the things. Now coming to the yellow with route, if it has to display S01, what are the conditions of the signal ahead? Now S07 signal has to be red or yellow. From this, what we can make out? We can make out at the station pass through is permitted. That means when S07 is displaying yellow, it is possible to operate S01 to the same common lobe. So as I said, remarks portion, if any general things are there, it can be like time release is 120 seconds and it is a trailing point. So here that point has to be, a key has to be available. So this is what actually the table of control means.
Sir, I would suggest that if you could take a break for 3-4 minutes and then resume the session.
That's right. That is right. Now it is 7:59. 8:03 we will start. 8:04 we will start.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. What we have seen is the table of control. How the table of control is translated into the action. It is done through the signaling circuits.
Should I take some questions before we move forward, sir? There are a couple of questions which are there.
Yeah, sure. You can, shall I? I have to see the.
I will read it out, sir. I will read it out. Sir, so there is a, let me just ask the questions. Just a second. Sir, how electronic interlocking, solid state interlocking, computer-based interlocking differs from each other?
Yeah, there is no difference. Both are same actually. They are interchangingly used. Communication-based interlocking, computer-based interlocking, electronic interlocking. All the three are same. And SSI, solid state interlocking. This is the word used actually by the British Railways in the beginning actually. And some countries like even in India, we adopted the same name. Later we have changed it to the EI, electronic interlocking. Yeah.
Okay. So now the question, Nathaniel noted that all track schemas are single tracked. Is this a simplified schema that you presented, or are some rails really like that?
I have not understood. Again?
So the track schema that was presented in your presentation, you
Yeah.
showed a single tracked schema. Is this a simplified schema?
Yeah, it is a simplified thing. Actually, only to explain the principles I have given this. Yeah. Yeah.
Is it possible to drive wayside gears directly, and the same can be read back without having relay interface in EI system? If not, what are the limitations?
Yeah, it can be like what we know, like what we call object controllers. They can drive the signal lamp, they can read it electronically. But point, yes, they can drive the points, but to read the points, actually, again, contacts are required. Maybe relays or maybe some contacts within the point machine. Relays can be totally avoided. Yep.
So why signal overlap was 120 meters, then why block overlap kept 180 meter in your presentation?
Yeah, basically, block overlap, it is expected that a driver comes at a higher speed for a longer time. That is why a little more the assessment can go wrong, even if it goes wrong little on the wrong side, it won't cause the collision. It is the question of assessment only. Actually, the failure of brakes or failure of the equipment cannot be taken care of by the overlaps. Only the assessment of the driver.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So we can proceed now.
Yeah. So signaling circuits. By means of the signaling circuits, we implement the table of control. That is through the relays. Now, the relay, I will explain little later, but not very fundamentally, but I presume that we all know what is a relay. So the type of relays, what normally we have the by names, signals, we have switch relays, lamp control relays, and lamp status proving relays. ECRs, what we call RECR, HECR, HR, HHR. Similarly, for the point, we have again switch relay, locking relays, then control relay, point and operation control relay, that is power to the point machine, NWR, RWR, and then detection relays. Internally, more relays may be there like NWS or things like that. Then route. Again, route is a thing which is related with the number of points and tracks. So the selection for selecting of the route, you require a button, that is button relay. And then route checking relay, route locking relays, and route release relays. So these are all the relays available. About crank handle, and for LC gates also these relays holds good. Crank handle is in, that is not removed from the station masters or whatever at the location. And crank handle switch relay for removal from the giving permission by the station master. Crank handle locked, crank handle is free, and crank handle release relay, that permission for releasing. So circuit, how it operates. Just to have a visual this thing. Actually, switch type operation I have taken because it is easy to explain and it is easy to understand the principles. Here we have the signal switch S1 on the top, and leftmost corner, rightmost corner, we have the signal which is supposed to be changed from red to yellow. It's a two-aspect signal. And these are all the relays involved, that switch relay, route checking relay, route locking relay. I have shown just one track relay. There can be number of track relays in the route. And then the final relay, lamp controlling the HR. There can be more number of relays. I have just only taken to explain the principle of how the wiring is done. You can see 24 volt DC supply is landing in one of the contacts, one end of the contacts of the RR. The other end is open still. When it gets closed, power supply 24 volts gets extended to the next relay. Now, when we count the number of wires, this is one wire, flashing one, second wire, third wire, fourth wire, fifth wire, and then finally the lighting one, sixth wire. Of course, in the return thing also considered the seventh wire also. Like this, this wiring is done to achieve the final objective of picking up of the HR relay. Let me show you how it happens. The switch is operated, so the contact is closed. Now the RR coil gets the supply, contact is closed here, so supply extended. Further, this is operated, the UCR also is operated. Operation of UCR drops the ASR here. So ultimately signal has become gray. So you can see the controlling relay, one HR, is fed by the so many wires proving these conditions. And ultimately the lighting, lamp lighting, this thing is given through a contact here. Of course, two contacts are used. For the purpose of principles explanation, I have used only one contact. Double cutting will be there normal. For the ease of, again, you can observe once. RR picked up, UCR dropped, UCR picked up again, not dropped. ASR dropped. TPR is already in picked up condition. HR picks up, lights the. So it picks up HCR also. Now, route checking circuit looks like this. Now, let us say this is the route checking relay, UCR. What are the conditions proved? Number one, switch is reversed. Number two, opposite directly conflicting route is not locked, it is free. Then some points are required in normal, some points are required in reverse. And their crank handles are in. That picks up the UCR, route checking relay. How is route locking and release circuit? Because locking and release is done by the single relay ASR. We can see the conditions. First, let us look at the route release portion actually. Instead of talking about locking, route release, if we explain, it is easy to understand. Let us say the ASR is the relay which is in picked up condition when route is free, and it drops when route is locked. Now, route is in locked condition, train has arrived and cleared all the route track circuits. UIR, these are the relays which pick up because of the sequential occupation and clearance of the track circuits. All the track circuits in the route except the berthing track or the destination track are clear, and all the signals, that is signal aspect as well as controls, are normal. These are the three conditions proved to release the route. But After the releasing of the route, then it sticks actually. It sticks means actually it bypasses route release condition as well as the track conditions. Now, there are three more paths available. This is JSLR, IJPR path. This is called cancellation. Before UIR1, UIR picking up itself by cancellation, it is possible to release the route. But the conditions are track shall be clear, signal shall go back to normal. The other one is the approach track. That is route approach locking is proved in this actually. That is, for example, if the home signal is cleared and mainline starter also is cleared, you cannot cancel the route of the starter signal unless the approach, even though there is no train on the berthing track, unless the track circuit, that is the track of the home signal is normalized. This is for the calling on signal. This is if you presume how this route release relays operate. Let us presume there is a route with 1 TPR, 2 TPR, and 3 TPR. 3 TPR is the last one which gets occupied. These are the conditions how they are proved. These conditions are to say that the route is locked. That means the route for which the release has to be applied has actually been locked. Otherwise, unnecessarily UARs will be operating. Number two, the signal has assumed its on aspect. And then you can see 1 TPR down, 2 TPR up, UAR operates. You can see when 1 TPR picks up as the train moves, 2 TPR down and 3 TPR up. This is another condition. So like this is the way it is. Now, what are the design, wiring, testing of relay interlocking? What are the stages? This one has to look at a little carefully. Let us have a look. Design we have already seen. SIP is required, TOC is required, circuit design is required. Then these are the thing indoor installation activities, wiring of relays and panel as per the circuit design. Then testing of the wiring. We have seen how the wires are drawn from RR to UCR to ASR. So each wire is tested, and then a test plan has to be prepared. What is this test plan? How to test the interlocking system? We will come to it a little later. Test plan has to be prepared. Then test panel dummy loads, because we have not yet connected the system to the signaling elements. We have to test the interlocking before doing that. Then corrections to wiring and circuit design after testing. First, we have to do the test. Test result says that yes, there is something wrong here and there. Then all those things, two types of problems can be there. Wiring could have been drawn wrongly, and circuit design also there might be some problem. Then after setting right the things, we do the retesting. Meantime, outdoor installation and testing is completed. It is only corresponding test, and indoor and outdoor are matched at the CT tag. So what are the tests? We said test plan has to be prepared. What are those tests? Looks like this. Negative test. That means status of every function controlling the signal in the TOC is changed. Track circuit, point, level crossing gate, slot, crank handle. All these things are disturbed after clearing of signal. Signal shall change to danger. One signal, one train test. After signal is cleared, first control track is dropped. That means train has entered into the section, route section. So signal shall change to red and remain in danger even after first control track circuit is picked up. That is, even after the first control track circuit is cleared by the train, still the route gets locked until the sequence of all the tracks are proved and UIRs picked up. Route release test for light engine. That is, one after the other, each track circuit is dropped and picked up. So at any given time, not more than 2 track circuits are down. This is the condition. This checks the actually UIR's design. UIR means route release relays. How this can be conducted? Let us see. Now we have cleared the signal. So all these TPR, WKR, all these things, and this is the relay, HR relay got operated and yellow lamp is lit. 15 TPR is the first track circuit. Now 15 TPR picked up, dropped. So TPR and TSR also dropped. Because of this, it is not possible even after closing of the 15 TPR, you can say picked up, still the signal remained red because TSR relay has not operated. Now, let us go to the other signal elements. Now, 10 is one of the points in the route or overlap, wherever it is. Now, I disturbed it actually. My NWKR is up. Now, I disturbed it. Now, signal has to go back to danger. Again, I restored it back. It shall come back. This is the negative test. Similarly, level crossing gate. I have created open condition. Now, again, I closed it. Again, it came back. Similarly, one of the crank handles are removed. Again, inserted. So, in this, what we have seen? One of the track circuits, which happens to be the first track circuit, when it drops and picks up, the signal won't come back to normal. That is off aspect. This is the one signal, one train feature. Route release test for long train movement. Here, if there are 10 track circuits in the route, 10th one is the last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, all 10 are dropped. And then one by one, from 1 to 9, they are picked up. Route should release. Route holding test. So here, what holds the route? That is a track circuit actually, an occupied track circuit. All route releasing conditions are fulfilled except the picking up of route holding track. Then the route shall be in the locked condition. Let us say in the previous case, 10 track circuits are there. All the 10 are down and 1, 2, 3, 4, all up to 9 they have picked up. And before 9th one picked up, let us say second track is dropped. Again, after picking up, the route shall not be released. That's how route holding test is done. Similarly, approach locking test. When the approach track is occupied, when the signal is cleared and then normalized, then it shall not be possible to release the route unless cancellation is applied with a delay. Red lamp protection. Clear the signal, drop the exit signal red lamp proving relay. Exit signal is, for example, for home signal, you have cleared. For the loop line starter red lamp ECR is dropped. Then home signal shall go back to danger. Signal lamp cascading. That means within the same signal, a higher aspect signal supply is cut off. So the lower end one has to lit. Signal aspect sequence control test. Clear all the signals. That means for the main line, home signal, main line starter, advanced starter, all the 3. So all 4 signals are displaying green. Now cut off the supply to the green lamp of the advanced starter. Now observe how the main line starter behaves, home behaves, and distant behaves. Similarly, come back up to the home signal. This is the signal aspect sequence control test. track locking test for points. Track locking is done even when the point is not included in a route. That is, when unsignaled moves are done over points, it shall not be possible to operate the point when a train is on the point. So it is a simple case where tracks are dropped and attempt is made to operate the point. Crank handle locking test. After the crank handle is interlocked with the signal actually. After signal is cleared, attempt to transfer control for each track circuit, each crank handle, it shall not be possible. Similarly, LC gate locking test also like crank handle locking test. Route locking test, that is point locking test. Clear the signal and attempt to operate each point to be locked in the route as per the TOC. Point shall not be possible, it shall not, circuit shall not initiate. Similarly, SM key test, key lock test. SM key locks certain operations, all those signaling elements, whatever, try to operate and then it shall not be possible. Point operation through route. See, in the route setting type of panels, points are thrown by the route initiation, not by individual point operation. How to know whether that circuit is functioning or not? So, for example, for some 4 points are required, all 4 are required in normal for a route. Then set all 4 points to reverse manually and then initiate the route. All 4 points shall be possible to operate them to normal automatically by the route. Sheet test, route checking test. Route checking test is the most important thing which cannot be done. Route checking test cannot be done manually. Let us say a signal is cleared for a route like Vijayawada RRI. There are 100 points and 125 track circuits. In this route, some 7 points and 12 track circuits are used. How are we sure that other than this point and other than these track circuits are not proved? It is very difficult to test manually. It is possible to test through the automatic testing. That I will explain a little later. So how the present testing is done? Basically, 2 types of boards are prepared first to simulate the loads. This is the yard diagram is drawn, and then for each track circuit, 1 switch is kept, 2 position switch. In 1 position, track circuit, track relay drops, and other position, track relay picks up. And all this is intercepted at the cable termination rack. Normally, from cable termination rack, it is supposed to go to the loads, that is signaling elements, points, track circuits, but they are cut off, and then through these dotted wires, they are brought and wired to the switches, point normal, point reverse. Similarly, track circuit picked up or not, point normal, not normal, 1 switch, point reverse, not reverse, another switch, track circuit occupied, clear. Similarly, for each lamp, signal lamp, 1 dummy lamp is wired, and a switch is provided to switch off the supply to that lamp for testing of the cascading and other tests. So here we have a tester and then a helper. What tester does? He takes out the table of control and looks at one of the routes and sets the signal for that, and then asks the helper, drop this particular track circuit. Now he operates one of the switches. Now the tester observes on the panel signal going back to danger and occupation of the track circuit. Similarly, point indications. So 1 by 1 he continues to do that. This is the negative test, basically what I have to. Like this, he keeps on instructing the helper to operate the things, and then he himself observes and then operates at the panel. The whole thing is human related. There is no test plan available. Test plan means, for example, a negative test. If there are 10 track circuits and 5 points, test is to be done 15 times. There is no count there actually. it is just ticked on the track circuit or the point in the table of control. And there is no evidence that he has done the test. And there is no evidence to see that the test result is okay. Or it is completely left to the human. So this is the main problem with the manual testing. So here there are 3-4 steps. First, the 2 dummy panels are made and they are wired to the cable termination rack because field functions are yet to be connected, but panel is connected to the electronic interlocking relay, and the tester keeps operating the routes based on the table of control. He calls out to disturb the status of the signaling elements to the helper or assister, and he himself manually looks at the result. This is how manual test takes place. So limitations of the present system is no test plan is available. Test procedure is not unique for the test. See, like in mechanical interlocking, olden days we used to have old signal engineering manual, how to test both way locking and release locking and locks one another. Simple way. But in electrical, it becomes very complex. You have seen the 18, 19 types of tests, how to sequentially act, how to do the operations one after the other. Nowhere it is written in the manuals. So it is left to the individuals. And no evidence is available. And no scope for verification of these tests. There are 2-level tests. Let us say a supervisor and officer. What is the result of the supervisor tests? It is not known unless he very clearly writes down the test records. There is no such documents available actually for recording the result of the test. So testing completely depends on the skill of the person's testing. That's why olden days we used to have special people to test, very senior people. But it is not possible now with the proliferation of the works and so many interlocking systems to be commissioned. So it is not possible. So how automated SIT is done? Anything to be automated, first you have to write down the instructions very clearly what has to be done, because machine cannot understand, imagine the things. It cannot use its own intelligence. We have to put intelligence into it. We can put intelligence into it through instructions only, through software. So defining the system integrity tests. What I was talking is this test procedure. We have to make test procedures very clearly. Then we have to develop hardware to automate the actions. What actions? Actions of both these people, tester as well as the helper. What tester is doing? Tester is operating the signals, operating the points. What helper is doing? Helper is disturbing the status of the signaling element. When the point is normal, he is dropping the normal NWKR. When the track is clear, he is dropping it and again maybe waking up. When the lamp is lit, he is extinguishing it by cutting the power supply. So both these acts are to be done automatically in the system integrity test. So this hardware consists of a processor-based system, and at the end you have a miniature relay with contacts which does these operations. I will show you a little later. Software development. What does the software do? It has to generate the test plan. When once we enter the table of control into this, it shall generate, let us say, table of control says that for so and so route 10 track circuits and 15 points are there, 10 points and 15 track circuits are there. So it has to generate 10 plus 15, 25 test cases it should generate automatically. Then hardware control, the software has to do because it has to operate these hardware potential free contacts, that is disturbing the status of points or setting the points. Then comparison of the data. How it gets the data and all, we will see little later. So integration of the hardware and software. They look like this. This is the laptop with that software. This is the hardware which controls the, ultimately this is the card. This has about 60 relays or so, and their contacts are brought out here. Miniature relays, each block is that. How they are used, I'll show you. This is like this. This is the same panel, electronic interlocking or relays, whatever it is, and we have now have a data logger. It monitors whatever changes that is taking place inside, and this data is accessed by our tester PC. Similarly, it drives this hardware. What is that hardware? This is that hardware, and this is the relay card, and there are two types of relay cards, the similar cards. One is to do the job of the assistant tester or helper. Other one is to do the job of the main tester. That is controlling of the panel and changing the states of the point, track circuits and all. How they can be changed? Based on the instructions, based on the software here. So both of them are replaced by the system now. You can see here, in a typical case, one GNR picks up from a button or switch from the control panel with a wire like this. What we are doing is, we are giving the feed to GNR through the normally open contact of a miniature relay. This button or switch, nobody is operating, but when my software here says that, okay, operate this particular signal, then this relay card, one of the relays closes this contact and GNR picks up. Similarly, let us have a look at this. 0.10 NWK PR picks up, it is normally because through the dummy panel. Now the dummy panel has a switch here like this. When he opens it, NWKR drops. When he closes it, it picks up. And of course, RWKR and NWKR, both of them cannot pick up at a time. That the care is taken care of. What we are doing here, this miniature relay, one of the contacts we are keeping in the cable termination rack. One of the links we are removing, a normally closed one. So when the simulation panel is inactive, that means it is closed, and the normally closed contact is also closed, NWKPR picked up. To do the negative test, the controller says, okay, drop this particular relay. So it opens up and NWKR drops. Again he says, okay, again close it. Within 1 second, it picks up. So within 1 second, NWKR PR dropped and picked up. Similarly, TPR also in the same way, track proving relay. So points and tracks we are controlling. A better explanation can be done through like this also. Same thing I am showing. Let us say this is the signal. This is the cable termination rack. We have removed these links, and through these blue wires we are connecting to the dummy signal lamp. So here ECR picks up in the relay room. Now this is the manual switch and this is our switch. So when this is closed, if we want, we can create a situation of signal lamp fused or not lit. Similarly, here you can see NWKR and TPR. Normally from outdoor, 24 volt DC supply picks up NWKR, and another 24 volt DC coming from TR picks up TPR. Now their control also has been taken over through the blue wires with this manual switch, and manual switch it is done normally wiring, but we use the other switch. So what do we require documents to do this software programming? We require panel diagram, SIP, table of control, and signaling circuit. Signaling circuit is optional actually. We can give deep analysis of the circuit also if the signaling circuits are given. Like for example, when UIR1 is supposed to pick up, when UIR2 is supposed to pick up, all those conditions can be kept into this. So instructions for carrying out the tests are defined. Number of switches and buttons to be controlled and the status of signaling elements to be changed. If there are 10 points, then 10 NWKRs, 10 RWKRs, 5 track circuits, 5 TPRs, then crank handles 2 crank handle CHPRs, like that. So to finalize the testing design, it is done. Tests are converted to a software program by the instructions based on the station TOC, and then test plan generation is done. Test plan generation happens in the office itself. You need not go to the station. For example, a particular route, 10 track circuits and 10 points, all the 20 test cases are generated. So test software does two things actually, as I have already told. It controls the panel switches or buttons and changes the status of the field functions, points, track circuits, LC gates. And the status of relays are taken from the data logger to generate the test results. Test results are compared with the desirable results by the software. I have just read this out, but I will show you with an example. Now, there are two softwares. One is evaluation software, other one is the test case generator software. This is the hardware, what you have seen with the output cards. And this is the panel termination rack, and this is the cable termination rack going to outdoors. This is the data logger, and this is the status of the relays or the data, whatever, if it is coming from the EI, we get it actually. Now, first is test case is generated. So it is fed to the processor and it is fed to the evaluation software within the same PC. Now, processor-based hardware operates the output cards, and maybe it clears the signal or maybe it drops the track circuit. That means next stage is this. Third stage is it is read back by the data logger and given to the evaluation software, and evaluation software gives the result. Further, I think next slide it is more clear if you look at this. This is an example. Test plan generation. That means we have entered the TOC into the software. So one of the lines I have taken out, it will have thousands of lines. If you take a printout for a forward station, most probably you will get 1,000 pages. 1A to A route. 1A is the signal, A is the berthing track. Route, point, negative test attempted. This is it actually. One line of the negative test for that route. That means 52 point indication has to be dropped. That is the initiation. So 52 NWKR supposed to be down, and so expected result is 52 NWKR. This 52 NWKR down initiated means miniature relay actually. This is a miniature relay here. 52 NWKR is down, the expected result. UCR is supposed to drop and HR also is supposed to drop. This is the test plan. Actual test result with timestamp. Here there is no timestamp actually because we have not really dropped the relay. It is only a test plan generation by the software. When we apply this at the station, all these things gets filled up like this. Same thing, 1A to A, route point negative test attempted. 52 point indication drop initiated. At what time it is initiated? On 1st April 2011, 9 hours 28 minutes, 51 seconds. Now, expected result is same thing, 52 NWKR shall drop because we have dropped this miniature relay. One UCR is supposed to drop, one HR is supposed to drop because we use the point detection in 2 stages. 52 NWKR down at so and so time, and HR also is down, but UCR was not down. So site is not successful because point is indication is not used in 2 stages. They have used only at 1 stage. This is the first result what we got at the first station, one station called Chavadipalyam on Salem division. It is hardly a 3-road station, simple 3-road wayside station. So till now, some days back we have taken, not it is all the list. There were about 47 stations were tested. 34 stations defects were found, and almost 72% of them. So deviations identified are 968 and design defected are 130. This is the result actually. So how the instructions are made for carrying out the test? Negative test, let us say, clear the signal, means this is the logic we have seen, change the status of every function, track, point, so and so, controlling the signal. Instructions are prepared like this. Clear the signal means operate the so and so signal to the so and so route. 2 miniature relays will be operated by this instruction. Then drop 9 LXPR. 9 LXPR is one of the conditions for 2 seconds and pick up. So signal HR drops and picks up again. Similarly, 7 NWKR, HR drops, picks up. All this information is taken through the data logger. You can see how it is collected from this. Yeah. The instructions are passed by the hardware to the relays by both ways. One is by operation, by changing the status. And the status comes back through the data logger, through the software. So comparison takes place here. So the instructions are made like this. So let us say Vijayawada RRI, there were 30 points and then 40 track circuits. Total 70 elements are there for testing the negative test. How much time it takes manually? Each one calling out, observing. At least 70 means at least half an hour it may take, or at least 20 minutes if you do it very fast. Now in this, it can be done in 70 seconds. That means hardly less than 2 minutes time. Because what it does, 7 NWKR is dropped and picked up. So HR drops and pick up. If it happens, that means 7 NWKR is proved in the circuit, 15 TPR, like that. Test procedure, that is point locking. For the point locking, we are given here. Just attempt is made to operate the point number 7. Like this, the route holding, clear the signal, all route releasing conditions are fulfilled except that one track, which is the route holding track. So clear signal to main line. Simulate train movement by dropping and picking up track circuits in sequence. Drop the back locking track circuit under test. Normalize the signal lamp. Before that, if you normalize the signal lamp, the route gets released. Route shall not be released. Pick up the backlock track circuit, route shall be released. This is how positive way of looking at it. Like this, approach locking is tested. Then route release test is done. Similarly, the aspect sequence control test is done. Point track locking test is done. Dropping of the each track circuit. Both the track circuit dropping also has to be done if there are 2 control circuits. One signal, one train, that is dropping of the first controlling track and observing TSR and HR. crank handle and level crossing gate locking, square sheet testing. All these tests can be done automatically through the software. I will share some test results. This is Ciliary station. This is through microlock, panel operated electronic interlocking. The route is first, the route set is the route number 1 for reception on the loop line. Then route 2 is cleared, the dispatch for a train from the main line. The home signal S3 has changed to green, which is wrong. So a driver will take as if he is coming on main line, he will come at high speed and he will hear. This result has come out after the manual test is completed and it is about to be commissioned. See, when simultaneous movement of this test is done for simultaneous movement test actually. He has seen, he tried to look at as whether the signal has gone back to danger or not, tester. That is the mistake he has done while doing the manual test. He has not observed that it has gone to green, which is much more dangerous. Similarly, Canal House Station, Rajkot Division, 35 track is not used in the backlocking. You can see here, Ciliary again, one more test. And S20 is cleared to this. It was possible to clear this particular thing. The isolation is not available here. This is Sanand. This is again Ahmedabad division. So S46 signal is cleared to S18, and overlap track 12T when dropped, S46 required off condition, and one of the overlap track not proved in the signal route. This is a simple test actually. It comes out in the negative test. But why all these mistakes are happening? Because human testing, human behavior is not suitable for doing the things repeatedly. It causes fatigue. So that is why these mistakes have happened. These are all the many test results that are available. This can be looked after a little later also, and the PPT is available for you. So yeah, yes, 51 point in the overlap point for 61B route, it should be locked by 61B route as per the RCC, but it is identified that it was not locked. So these are the type of mistakes. Vijayawada RRI also, we have done this test. It took almost 3 months to complete this test, about 730 routes also. F cabin, G cabin. So if we look at the system integrity test, it happens something like this. This is the tester PC. So software drives the two types of the button relays, one side, and then the what we call element changing relays on the other side. And electronic interlocking or the relay interlocking behaves as per the changes made to the signaling elements, and it is read by the data logger and given to the tester PC. Tester PC compares both and gives the result. Now, what happens in case of VDU operated electronic interlocking? The panel will not be available. So how do we control clearing of the signal? So here comes the limitation. Because of that limitation, what we have done is this. Have a look at this arrangement. Same electronic interlocking operated by SM's VDU through SM's PC. It is a normal arrangement. And we have protocol converter and data logger connected to it. We have the tester VDU and tester PC. and the hardware what you have seen to drive the simulation panel. This is the test arrangement. How the test is done now? Without without interfering with the software of the VDU. First, tester selects the root and test on the tester species VDU. This is tester species VDU. He selects a root number 1 negative test. Now, what he does is the SM's VDU is also available before him. He sets that root number 1. Now, whether the root number 1 is set or not is detected by the tester PC through the data logger. Now, it applies the negative test on its own. One by one, it drops all the track circuits, it drops all the points and picks up, and it gets back the results from the data logger and compares. So the software here now, it recognizes the root set by the tester from the data logger and drives the element controlling units, element status control units, that is miniature relays, gets the response from the electronic interlocking, what change has happened because of the software TOC of the electronic interlocking, again through the data logger, and compares both the things and success or failure. Same thing I can show you here. Actually, this can be applied for distributed interlocking also. There is no difference at all. Only thing is these miniature relays are kept in the 20s. That's all. This is what it is done. Tester is available here. He is having two PCs, tester PC and SMPC. Now in the tester PC, he selects test number 1. I am repeating what I have told just before. He selects the test number 1, that is root number 5, a negative test. Then he himself sets the root number 5 through the SM's PC. This is done manually, actually. That is why we are calling it as assister, not automatic tester. Then the root is set, data logger reads it and gives back. Tester PC now recognizes the tester has selected a particular root and he has set the same root. Now this loop happens automatically, this red loop. It keeps on dropping and picking up of the each condition and then reads through the data logger and evaluates the test results. Again, we can show the difference between the system integrity tester automatic and system integrity tester assister. Here is the manual thing available here. This loop is automatic, test conducted. Same thing, I'll show it, I will read it for you for the negative test, how it happens. We have the test, first column is the test. Next is what operation is to be done by the operator at the electronic interlocking VDU. And tester, what he is supposed to do at the tester PC. And the last column is the output from the tester PC, which automatically is generated. Number 1, select the root. Number 2, select the test. Here it is the negative test. Then 3, clear signal for the selected root. These 1, 2, 3 are done manually. 4 and 5 happens automatically. Implements the test by changing the status of points, tracks, etc. and test result is displayed after comparison. Similarly, one signal, one train, all this actually. So EA VDU operation and tester PC VDU operation. These two are to be done manually. There is no need to change the statuses of the signaling elements. Like this, all the tests can be carried out. It saves at least 50% time. Yeah. So LC gate locking, root locking test. These are all the clear instructions how they are supposed to be done. Timer test, S1 lock key test. So that is the end of the session. I can take questions.
Sure, sir. Sir, not many questions. Just I'll take up the questions right now.
Yeah.
So, how many hours does SIT take for 50 route stations to test? Is any person required to do the test after uploading required information to SIT?
A 50 route interlocking system, if there are no mistakes at all, if everything is done, TOC is complied, it hardly takes 3 to 4 hours, maximum 3 hours it may take.
Okay.
The user, a tester, what he has to do is he has to commence the test by starting it. Then once he starts, then all tests are cascading one after the other, it happens actually. But as the number of routes increase, the time taken will be very high. For example, let us take Vijayawada RRI, 754 routes. For one route test, it took 8 hours. One route test, it took 8 hours. So it is very high actually. Proportionately, complexity increases actually.
Okay. Sir, what about the factory acceptance test for EI?
Yeah. See, the example what I have shown at Ciliari, FAT is done in the premises of the company through a software. So it is all their own thing. We don't look at the things actually. After the test is completed, that also is to some extent, I think, automated also, the FAT nowadays. Now, the software is brought to the station, loaded into the electronic interlocking, and then the functions are connected, outdoor functions, all the points, signal lamps, and all those things are connected. Simulated, but hard simulated, not like in the FAT. So because of that, here the site acceptance test is validated here by us, not the FAT. Our software is not suitable for the FAT.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for taking this valuable session for all the participants here. And I'm sure all the participants have enjoyed and would be benefiting from this session in their career. Thank you so much, sir. One information and announcement that I would like to pass on is that we will be sharing recording of today's session on our YouTube channel of Railway Academy. And I will also be sharing the link to this particular presentation today, video format, on your email IDs that you have used to register for this webinar. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Sambi Reddy, sir. It has been an honor having you with us as an expert.
Thank you for the knowledge exchange that is taking place. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening.
Bye.